What's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. I swear this is not what I do during this COVID period where I'm locked at home and I have nothing to do and I want to play badminton outside right now. Anyways, welcome back to another video. My name is Gerald. For those of you that don't know me, I talk about badminton and how you can improve the badminton game safely, and I haven't posted in like 2-3 months even, and I deeply regret and apologize for the delay because it's been so hectic, and badminton courts everywhere are just locked down in general, so I think it's best to stay safe, don't you think? And also I'm kind of not sure what type of topics would be very interesting that I should post and talk more about, that is of high quality, that can bring value to you. So if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comment section below. Anyways, back to today's topic. So today I have a very, very serious topic, despite the fact that it was jovial and fun in the beginning. So today I'm going to talk about why Viktor Axelsen's Olympic gold medal will change badminton forever. And I mean like ever and a lot. The last Danish that won a men's singles gold medal was in 1996, if I'm not wrong. Do check that out. But underneath this whole thing, underpinning this whole thing, right, is that basically Axelsen proved that sports science works. It works really, really well. And I know this sounds very fallacious and broad, like a far stretch from truth, but hear me out. You see, I think this is best explained and described through sharing of my personal experience so that you understand the root or the significance of the impact his gold medal will make in badminton today. And well, maybe not to a lot of parts of the world, but definitely in Singapore and a lot of Asian countries that I know of. You see, I was formerly training under the Singapore national team, and before that, even before I was in the national team, I trained under a lot of different coaches growing up. So I think I trained like under over 20 different coaches, at different points in my life, in order to improve my badminton game. And here's the thing. A lot of coaches have a very different, I wouldn't say outdated, but very different philosophy and mentality when it comes to training badminton. So here's what I mean. In fact, some of these coaches that have this very strange, in my opinion, strange or different extreme mentality when it comes to coaching were previous medalists, like All England champs, medalists, silver medalists, bronze medalists, Olympic medalists as well. So here's the thing. They have always been the proponent or a believer that having very intense, hardcore training consistently is or will yield the best badminton result. And the thing is, I studied like basic sports science while I was undergoing my diploma, and it kind of contradicted what I've learned. So what we learn in sports science is that you must, rest well and then overload and then compensate so that you recover, and then you overload again so that you can overcompensate and then you recover and you become stronger and stronger and stronger every single time. But here's the issue. You see, a lot of my previous, or a few of my previous coaches, they underwent very ridiculously tough training and they produced medalists. It worked. So then these couple of these coaches of mine did not follow a lot of what was taught in traditional sports science. Here's one example. You see, overloading usually involves good amount of rest, right? So there were a couple of programs that had crazy, insane amount of overloading. Here's one. I'm going to give you 2 separate weeks of very brutal programs that my coach adopted because it worked. And then when I tried to negotiate, which I would share with you a little bit, you'll see the struggle that I kind of face. So here's one example. I remember one coach, he was trying to progress or help us prepare for this game in I think 6 weeks time. So then he said, you know what, we're going to overload you, right? So then his rationale was that intensity must, you need to be able to survive from the first round all the way to the finals without feeling very tired and so forth. So he had this program. I don't know why, but he had this weekly quota. The first week, we need to complete 60 km in total for the entire week. The next week, 70 km in total for the entire week. Then 80, then 90, then 100, then 110. Then I think that's when we needed to compete. So in order to complete 60 kilometers in distance off the court a week, that means that we need to run about, I think that's 8 km per day. But we rest on Sunday, right? So that means in 6 days, we need to cover 10 km each day. So that was the intensity of the program. And yeah, it was brutal. When you have to run 10 km before you enter the court, the result is that you are just jelly, right? And let's not even talk about speed training, because we learned that, or in sports science, we learned that if you want to train speed and agility, it needs to be at the start of the training when you're not fatigued. Yeah, so imagine training speed, agility, explosiveness after you run 10 kilometers in the morning. Imagine training gym after you run like 15 kilometers towards the end, right? The 6th week, where you really want to peak. You know what? You need to run 15 km first because we need to hit 110 km for this week. So run 15 km, Gerald. So I ran like 15 km with my teammates, and then we did gym. Yeah. So you kind of can see where I'm going with this. That's one example. Another example was that, typically when you have injuries, one mentality is that you rest, you recover. But on the other hand, for coaches that have like a more, I would say, traditional thinking, I wouldn't say outdated because it's still debatable, right? Traditional thinking is that you need to push through a lot of the pain. You want to get result, bite the pain, push yourself to the absolute limit, and just puke. So then I remember I had this very crazy punishment-based training where my coach would do like 3 kilometers. No, wrong. Right, sorry. It was a sprint, right? So sprints would be like I think the most memorable one was the 400 meters times 10 sets, and everything needs to be under like 65 seconds. And for me, bear in mind, I'm quite a chunky guy. I'm not like a very skinny kind of person. So my personal best was like 63. Clocking in 10 sets of 65 would be almost pretty much darn near impossible for me. So then I had to repeat. So the moment I missed one set, I had to repeat that set. So it's like, you finish one set, then you start set number 2, set number 3, and then you miss set number 3, you need to repeat set number 3, repeat set number 3, repeat until you clear set number 3, you start set number 4. And that was brutal mentally and physically, because once you hit your peak, you just can't recover, right? So at least so I thought. But apparently, once you get desperate enough, you try hard enough, you can sometimes manage to skirt past 65 seconds for the 4th and 5th set. So then, I remember one of my friends, he had this training where he had to repeat a lot of sets until he started to puke. Then he was scolded, chided like a little child. I remember the coach saying nasty things about him and all the vulgarities and saying, hey, you know what, kids over in the other country can perform or run better than you. That was what the coach said to him, I remember. So then he puked and he repeat and he puked. He was punished, scolded, ran, puked. And did you know if you puke sufficient amount of times, you would start to puke black kind of stuff. It was terrible. And then his muscle was cramped. His muscles cramped up. He was scolded and then ran and cramped again. So that basically he didn't complete it for like a good 4 hours. I think we were just running. So that was the kind of training that we've been through. And anyone who kind of studied sports science would know once your body starts cramping up, you really should rest and take care of your body, because the cramps will escalate. And yes, the cramps were as bad as your calves, your hamstrings, your quads, your butt, your abs, all the way cramping at the same time. That happened. It was brutal. It was a 2 o'clock sun. There was another one of the training program. Oh, and one more. I remember there was, I think, a good quarter where my performance wasn't just that good. So then my coach thought, maybe you were drinking too much water. So then we had this water management training. So I think the whole training from 2 o'clock to, I think, 6 o'clock, I only could drink like a 1.5 liter bottle of water. And that's insane, because it's like a good 4 hours of intense cardio workout, and you only can drink like 1.5 liter of water. So then at the end of the training, I think my whole lips were white and chafed, and I recall my urine was like practically brown. So that was how dehydrated I was. And so this happened on a consistent basis, right? And funny thing was that this is not new like to me. In fact, a lot of athletes that want to try to pursue top-end badminton go through such intense training on a regular basis. Why? Because the Olympic dream is worth it. Make sense? So then, here's the thing. I studied a little bit of sports science, and I spoke to my coach, or coaches in fact. I said, hey coach, why not adopt a smart training approach? Study a little bit, use a little bit of sports science, get someone who is sports science trained to help develop a hardcore program, kind of like Viktor Axelsen kind of thing. And here's what my coach said. Okay, who are the people that's winning the Olympic men's singles medals, Gerald? I said, China, Lin Dan, Shenlong. I mean, when I was still playing, it was Lin Dan, Li Xiongwei, right? Taufik, maybe. Then my coach asked, where are a lot of this sports science knowledge from? Do you think this Lin Dan, Li Xiongwei uses a lot of this sports science in their training? And then I was like, I would think so. They are the world number. Then my coach would be like, no, Gerald. They train like how I did. That's how I did. So do you want to be the world number one, or do you want to be almost like the world number one? Kind of maybe top 30, top 20. So how do you want to train, Gerald? So at that point, it was like, bam! I literally couldn't say anything because, well, we as students kind of knew he was right, sort of, until Viktor Axelsen changed it. Why? Because Viktor Axelsen adopted a very sports science-based approach to training, right? So then you can see on his YouTube channel, he posts pretty frequently how he does conditioning with his coach, how his personal sports science coach helped him develop his strength and conditioning. And let me tell you, this will change badminton forever. Because so there's one thing I want to preemptively tell you and let you understand is that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be upset about Viktor Axelsen's win. Why? Not so much so that Chen Long is a bad player or the win was unfair, quote unquote unfair, but rather it's a fundamental shift in philosophy and perspective. It's going to be really hard for a lot of people to swallow. And that philosophy change and that sports science or modern sports science training method work is going to hit a lot of people like a flying brick in their face. Like, boom, sports science work. What? Badminton is changing. So if you see such, negativity and hate, well, treat these people with understanding, because if you spend 40 years, 60 years of your life adopting a certain philosophy when it comes to training and development, and suddenly a new, disruption comes along and change the way you think, yeah, you're going to say that the disruption's the problem. You're not going to say you're the problem, right? So that's how I expect this to happen. So just want to kind of let you know my 2 cents, because a lot of players, coaches have this traditional Odin mentality where you really need to push the rim. Even if an ankle breaks, you still endure the last 2 sets with a broken ankle. Why? Because you are an athlete, right? You're going to push to break your best. And that all, I think, will start to change when sports science-based athletes start proving that, hey, science works. We should adopt a smarter approach to training that does not create like a huge burnout mentally to a lot of athletes, and at the same time yield significantly better results. So anyways, I know this sounds like a rant, but trust me, a lot of people are going through this same experience that I've gone through, the same dilemma that I've gone through. Like somewhere inside we felt, maybe there's a better way. We didn't know what to say because our coaches kind of proved to us that a very traditional, hardcore, intense training method is the way to go. And trust me, I hope this video can help, 10 athletes, 100 athletes, 1,000 athletes. If this video can help these athletes train better, perform better, and most importantly, live happier, because nobody likes to go through intense, brutal training where you puke and you tremble before training because you know it's going to be a very brutal beatdown session. I just want to provide some insights as to how badminton is evolving and science works, and this will work. So if you are one of those that were like me in my younger days where I had to go through such brutal training, please consider sharing with your coach this video and let him see that yeah, a science-based intelligent training method could and have yielded an Olympic champion. I know there's going to be a huge pushback where people complain that, hey, there's no way a traditional like Chen Long lost to Victor. A lot of people are going to be pissed, and they're going to be pissed not just because of the fact that Chen Long underperformed, but rather fundamentally, I think a lot of people are going to have a hard time accepting that, hey, there's a shift underneath all this, that it's not just about Chen Long being bad, but rather fundamentally they would not be able to, or they're going to find it difficult to accept, like, hey, science works and it's winning. Sorry I took a while to kind of explain all this and beat around the bush, but I hope this video was kind of insightful. If it is, please share with other athletes who are training to try to become better badminton players. And more importantly, I want to know what are your thoughts on what videos I should post. Should I commemorate, Viktor Axelsen's win by basically using his workout routine? What do you think of that? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more of such badminton training videos, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.